Appointed for this contest by the British Boxing Board of Control, the official in charge, Mr. Simon Block, General Secretary. The timekeeper at the bell, Mr. Greg Pugh from Walthamstow, and the referee in charge of the action, one of Britain's leading star referees from Leeds, Mr. Mickey Vann. My lords, ladies and gentlemen, you join us live and exclusive on BBC Sport from the Fountain Leisure Centre in Brentford, where Jess Harding, in association with A-Force Promotions, proudly presents tonight's main event, sponsored by Cantor Sport, the spread betting specialists. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an international heavyweight contest scheduled for 8 3-minute rounds between and introducing the boxers. Firstly, fighting out of the red corner, wearing the black trunks trimmed with the red, coming from Missouri in the United States of America, weighing in at 14 stone 11 3/4 pounds. He holds a 50-fight professional record, 44 wins, 32 wins coming by way of the big knockout, with 3 losses and 1 draw and 2 no contests. Please welcome to London, from America, Rob Calloway. And his opponent, ladies and gentlemen, standing across the ring in the red corner, wearing the gold trunks trimmed with black, coming from Wembley here in London. He weighed in at 17 stone, 12.5 pounds, and he's undefeated as a professional. 8 wins, coming from 8 contests, 5 wins by way of the big knockout. He's the former Olympic gold medalist, presenting Audley, Referee Mr. Mickey Vann will now give his instructions to both boxers.
Right, Rob, Audley, you both had your instructions in the dressing room. I want no noise with the head. Shake hands, about your corners, come out when you hear the bell. Good luck, fellas.
8 3-minute round.
Mickey Vann, the referee, the man in the middle, vastly experienced, one of Britain's outstanding A-star referees for this Audley Harrison's 9th professional contest. A packed house here, plenty of celebrities, including another man who thrilled everybody in the Olympic Games, Darren Campbell, the Olympic silver medalist, but it's the former Olympic gold medalist, this big southpaw, Audley Harrison, that is the focus of attention. Towering over his 33-year-old American opponent, Rob Calloway, who owns and runs a health and fitness centre in his hometown of St. Joseph, Missouri. And Audley Harrison coming in at the lightest he's been so far in his professional career, well under 18 stones, and just a few pounds heavier than he was when he won the Olympic title in Sydney some 15 months ago. Big height and reach advantage enjoyed by Audley Harrison. And Calloway's problem is going to get inside that awkward southpaw style of Harrison's, although Calloway has been in with a few southpaws in his day. Richie Woodall.
Yeah, I mean, it's a step in the right direction for Harrison to be going in with this caliber of opponent now. He's had a lot of fights, but his biggest problem tonight will be getting past Harrison's jab. If Harrison does keep that distance between himself and Calloway, then he'll be totally in command here. And we're going to see, I should imagine, a few rushes come from Calloway, who's going to get frustrated, and he'll walk onto Harrison's shots.
Well, he looks rather like the man against whom Audley Harrison made his debut way back in May of 2001, one Mike Middleton, who didn't last past the first round. But let's hope for Audley Harrison's career's sake, the credibility of this contest, that that's where the resemblance ends. Counts among his friends the rapper and now movie star Eminem, with whom he grew up in Missouri, Rob Calloway, managed by, well, himself and trained by Jason Redman. And he's won a few titles of note, the WBF Intercontinental Heavyweight title. And he also won the World Athletic Association light heavyweight title way back about some 6 years ago. Good right hand from Calloway into the face of Harrison. Left came across very sweetly from Audley Harrison. A minute to go to the end of the first. There's that left that causes so many people so much trouble, and it just glanced off the face of Calloway, who again tags Harrison with a right of his own.
Yeah, Harrison getting a little bit careless there, just dropping that leading right hand of his. But the punch that's made for him here tonight is that left uppercut. If you watch Calloway, he's leaning to the right slightly as he's coming in, crouching, and he will walk onto that shot if Harrison starts letting a few left uppercuts go.
Well, Calloway in half a century of contest has been beaten, but he's never been stopped, and he's been in against some very decent opposition. Pushing Harrison onto the back foot. Bit of swelling underneath the right eye already of Rob Calloway. Good right hand from Calloway. This is going to test Harrison like he's never been tested before. Lovely combination, uppercut and right hand from Calloway to finish. So that's the first time that Audley Harrison has really been caught like that. Well, what a good round that was. Well, there's Harrison, and those figures speak for themselves. 8 contests, 8 wins, 5 inside the distance, but all 5 inside the distance wins have come from overseas opposition, 4 Americans and a very ordinary Polish boxer. And he's had a bit of bother with domestic opposition. And this is the latest man to face Audley Harrison. That is not a bad record at all. Some of the opponents may not stand up to very close scrutiny, but there have been 1 or 2 very well-known names in there. And this is a dangerous opponent.
Second up, round 2.
Harrison having a little bit of trouble with those trunks of his, looking leaner and fitter than ever before as a professional. He's gone up to the best part of 18.5 stones for a couple of contests. Harrison trying to push his man round with that right so he can land with that left hand of his. And Calloway staying away as far as he can, trying to move in a clockwise direction.
Harrison's got to start using the jab a little bit more here, Jim. He's been a little bit lazy. He's allowing this guy in. That's a nice counter from him, though, straight left. But he's got caught with a couple of right hands, mainly because he's been holding his feet and he hasn't been using his jab, and that's just allowed Calloway just to step in and throw that right hand. But a little bit sharper from Audley earlier on in this round, which is better. I still thought he did enough to win that opening round, although there wasn't a lot in it.
Yeah, despite that little flurry at the end from Rob Calloway, the man in the black trunks with the names of his children, Rob and Chase, and Riley emblazoned in his shorts. Once again, that left-right combination by Calloway catches Harrison. And Calloway is producing a nice variation in his work. He's going to the body and then to the head. Once again, a right from Calloway catches Harrison. This is going to be a serious measure of the big fella's chin, Richie.
Yeah, again, Calloway's getting through that right hand. Again, though, Harrison is allowing to throw that right hand very slow with the feet, not using his jab, allowing the guy in and getting caught. I think he's taking his opponent for granted a little bit here, Audley Harrison. He's got height and reach, and wants to be the bully and wants to obviously be in command, but he's just taking it for granted and he's got caught.
Well, reddening round the right eye of Calloway, and I'm not sure there might not be a tiny little nick there, but we'll have to look at that a little bit more closely. Just about a minute to go to the end of round 2, and Harrison, as ever, that southpaw right of his held a little bit on the low side, missed with the left, timing ever so slightly off, but you've got to work harder. The further up the ladder you progress. Solid short left from Harrison. Calloway covered up well to the body. Remember, he's conceding 3 stones, and Harrison has got to make them pay, and Calloway's come back at him again. And again, good work by Calloway. Faster hands than the Olympic champion, just for a second. Harrison gets him again. Two good rounds provided by Calloway. Harrison gets him again on the counter. Fast on the retreat by the bigger man, Audley Harrison. Another absorbing round of heavyweight boxing. Well, as ever, Thel Torrance and Kenny Kroom in the Harrison corner. Calloway coming in, and Harrison, for such a big man, gets into reverse gear very nicely and popped him with a very good left. Calloway missing, and Harrison just pawed him off and kept him out of range. Calloway wants to fight this in close if he can, I'm quite sure, Richie.
Yeah, good signs from Harrison there, though, about just laying back Jimmy. There he was drawing the lead, just laying back and then catching his opponent with a straight left. That's good boxing. But for me, Calloway in that round just did enough to win the round. A couple of good right hands got through. He was a lot more positive than Audley was. Audley was looking for the bigger shot, and it just wasn't there.
Well, no serious damage done to Calloway. So out comes Audley Harrison, resplendent in gold trunks. Calloway was the man who ended the career of, although he was a veteran at the time, former world title contender James Quick Tillis. Better by Harrison, short in that right hand. Harrison really towering over the man, and so far he hasn't been able to make that height and reach count with anything like the proficiency that we'd hope to see from him, but a long way to go.
Yeah, just earlier there, Jim, there was a lovely left hand counter again from Harrison. Just laid back, allowed his man to fall short, and then he come across at the counter. Great shot, but just needs to be more positive and more busy with that jab. He could make things so much easier here if he just uses that jab a little bit more.
Calloway, oh, better by Harrison. Calloway just avoided that wicked-looking left hand. Harrison looks as if he might just be enjoying this now. He's had a good look at this man. Calloway bleeding now profusely from his nose, courtesy of that very good southpaw shot from Audley Harrison. Much more measured round by Harrison. Lovely fast hands. Again, leaned away from his man.
They're already starting to get warmed up here now. Calloway there just switching to the southpaw style. But he hasn't thrown as many right hands in this round as he did in the previous one, which is a bit surprising because he was getting through with that shot. But Audley's boxing a lot better in this round.
Well, Calloway has been a very respectful American, and we have to say that one or two of them come to the shores and are anything but respectful. But he said that Audley Harrison deserves all the accolades for being an Olympic champion. But that particular reputation, I think, will mean nothing to him. Bit of a head rubbing there by Calloway into the face of Harrison. Good work by Mickey Van, saying work on your own. Good uppercut from Harrison. And Mickey Van did not say stop or did not say break. And Harrison took full advantage. And I do believe, Richie, that Calloway is starting to tire.
Yeah, that was a cracking shot from Harrison. A right uppercut. I was talking about the left uppercut earlier, but that was a lovely right uppercut through the guard. Calloway just relaxing a little bit and certainly had his guard low in the clinch and gets caught. Better round by a long way by Audley Harrison. Took a right hand a little bit low, and that annoyed him. And he replied in kind with a low left of his own. And Calloway is cut. His left eye seems to be cut. So a much better round from Harrison. He won that round pretty comfortably, and he seems to, and I think not just seems, he has inflicted a cut on his opponent's eye. Blood coming from the nose, but there's something around that left eye. Oh, that's nasty enough. It's a little slash, and that's an old scar that has opened up rather badly. And that might have been the one that he got against the good Uzbekistani Ruslan Shagayev when the contest was stopped. Harrison working much harder in that round, Richie. Yeah, it's starting to come on now, isn't he? But here on the inside, lovely right uppercut. There it is, and that was a cracking punch. It really was. And that took well, welcome back to Tim Witherspoon, more than interested spectator. Two to Harrison, one to Calloway.
according to the former world super middleweight champion. Harrison, a lot of water on that extraordinarily broad torso of his. Calloway, a fair bit of grease around his left eye where there was a nasty little nick, and it was an old wound that opened up. And I was mentioning that he went in against another former outstanding amateur a couple of contests ago, the Uzbekistani world champion Ruslan Shagev, who had him all but gone when a cut opened up and the referee declared it was a technical draw. Harrison's not going to leave anything like that to chance. And again, to underpin the fact that Calloway has never been stopped in over 50 professional contests.
Harrison's timing's just a little bit out at the moment, but he just showed signs there of throwing that left uppercut. Certainly caught Calloway with a shot on the inside. And again, he's starting to command, dictate, better from Harrison. What Calloway's got to do, he's got to start stepping in and trying to throw that right hand, but he tried it there, but gets caught.
Good footwork by Harrison for such a big man. Calloway now settled down a little bit. Hasn't had the feathers quite so ruffled in this round. Midway through it, the fourth. Scheduled for 8, remember. First time Harrison has been down to go that distance. He's gone 6 rounds with Derek McCafferty, Mark Prince and Dominic Negus, all domestic opposition. Calloway sensibly, Richie, trying to tie him up.
Yeah, trying to tie him up on the inside. But when he's on the inside, he's not really working. What he should be doing, he should be working there when he's in there. He's allowing Harrison to actually work on the inside, which is very surprising.
Good right hand by Calloway. Harrison's left held a little bit on the low side. Harrison looking to come on strong now in the last 3/4 of a minute of this round. Well, Harrison's been stalking him for the last minute, but he hasn't really landed with anything.
No, he's not getting through just yet, but Harrison's quite a clever fighter, because as Calloway is moving in, he has got fast reactions, Harrison, and he's got a very fast layback, and then he comes back with his own left-hand counter, but he certainly hasn't been throwing that shot in this round. But when he gets into gear, it is a cracking punch he's got.
Quite a round in terms of blows landed and blows exchanged. That was a very good shot by Harrison, moved nicely out of the way of the onrushing American from St. Joseph, Missouri, and landed with a good shot. And good covering up by Harrison, blocked one shot and moved out of the way of the other. He's got blood in his mouth now. I'm wondering, are they thinking about calling this one off? This is very interesting. Harrison looking fairly unruffled at this stage. Don't think they're too worried. I thought for a moment they were going to bring a doctor in to have a look at this fellow. In the other corner, there's all sorts of activity going on. They're taking a bit of time out. There must be some sort of a problem. And the doctor's coming in to have a look at Calloway. And I'm wondering, is it his jaw is gone? I think they're saying that he's got a problem with his jaw. And as Harrison produced a stoppage, the Calloway corner were saying that there is a problem there. The doctor has come in. Calloway has been spitting blood from his mouth. And, well, once again, it's not the most satisfactory ending for Audley Harrison, but he's kept his unbeaten record, and more importantly, he's done what nobody has done in over half a century of contests, and that has stopped this tough man from St. Joseph, Missouri. So Rob Calloway has been stopped. The corner, I think, have pulled him out. The contest has been stopped. The doctor has been called in. It looks almost certain that Rob Calloway has suffered a broken jaw. I'm sorry to hear them booing, but if his jaw is broken, there's absolutely not a chance that he should be allowed to continue. Well, he seems to be talking, and there's not any serious distension of the jaw there, but the decision has been made, And Rob Calloway appears at this stage and from ringside here to have sustained a broken jaw. And Audley Harrison has won his 9th professional contest and his 6th inside the distance. Gum shield out, and there's that characteristic grin on the face of the once again victorious Audley Harrison. We will get the official announcement once it's been sorted out. Mickey Van has been over and has been talking to the officials at ringside, and I think we're about to hear from referee, or not just referee Mickey Van, but MC Mike Goodall as to the exact nature of why this contest was stopped.
Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of the 4th round, the referee has stopped the contest. Rob Calloway having sustained a damaged jaw, leaving the winner, Audley Harrison.
Beltorum's Kenny Kroom, promoter Jess Harding and manager Colin McMillan will be pretty pleased with that. And you've got to say, Richie, it started to look very much Harrison's fight after the 3rd round.
Yes, certainly in that last round. I mean, Calloway, he did take a nice left uppercut, and who knows that the damage might have been from that punch. But it's unfortunate that the crowd were booing, but it's a win for Harrison. It's a good win. And as you said, Jim, he's managed to stop the guy and no one else has, so it's a good performance.
And Audley, needless to say, will be very pleased with that. Came in looking leaner and meaner and fitter, and in that last round, it was Harrison really looked very strong. That was a terrific left from Harrison as he moved away from his man. And look at that from Harrison. That was a great shot. And I think Calloway knew at that stage, and look, you could see him moving. He knew that at the very best the jaw was dislocated and it may well be broken. Well, what a good finish, despite the controversy by Audley Harrison, who'll be delighted with that. And he's now ringside with Gary Richardson.
Audley, many congratulations. What did you reckon to that performance? Yeah, it was my first 8-rounder, and you know, the team wanted me to use the jab a bit more, but I was just building myself up. You know, I was expecting this guy to go 8 rounds, and obviously he's got a broken jaw from the left crosses that were coming off. But you know, I've come out here today. I've dropped 4 pounds, 17 stone 12, and you know, I'm moving on. You know, I was a good guy. As you saw, he had skills, he had a game plan for me.
He was quite quick, wasn't he?
He was quite quick, and he upset the ribbon a bit. Couldn't get my jab off. But, you know, I stuck to it, didn't feel tired. And I was about to turn up the gears because I was starting to figure out his style. He was holding on the inside. But, you know, I just want to say, a great camp. Big thank you to my team.
Sure.
You know, we had a great camp. And
what do you
I'm
learn?
in great shape.
What do you learn from it, Audley?
Well, what I learn is, as you can see, I'm not the finished article. There's things to work on. And it's important that no matter what the start, I mean, he had plenty of time to prepare, so he obviously had a game plan. And I've still got to overcome that early on. Started a bit slow today, but all in all, I felt good. Shape was good, but there's definitely things to work on. But we watched the video as a team, and there's definitely things to work on.
Okay, we can show you how it ended here. We think it's a broken jaw, don't we?
Yeah, I mean, that's what they're saying. It's a shame, really, because, you know, a big thank you to all the fans who's turned up here today. You know, this place was sold out 2 weeks ago. And, you know, a big thank you to the fans. And they wanted to see more action. You know, it's a shame that he went out like that, but that's boxing. I caught him with some clean punches, and the guy was out of there.
So you sit down now and you analyse the video. Can you sort of think to yourself already, right, I'm not doing this right, I'm not doing that right? Is the one lesson that you will take away, Audley?
Different opponents bring different things to the ring that you've got to figure out. You know, we saw this guy's style. We knew he was going to be quick. You know, that's why I dropped my weight down, came in at 17-12. We knew the guy was going to be quick. And he was quick, and he was able to cut me off as he was moving around the ring. But all in all, I think, you know, job well done, and lots to work on, and we'll go back and move on to the next stage.
All right, I've got a couple of other questions for you in a moment. Let's bring your manager, Colin McMillan, in. Colin, what did you think of that performance?
I thought he was very good. You know, taking thinking of Audley down first 8-rounder against a very, very experienced opponent, and I could have worked the jab a bit more. That's what we were looking for him to do, but the guy was very, very fast, very awkward, and you know, Audley done the job.
9 wins out of 9. When will he fight again? We think maybe the end of March?
Whatever they do, they want to try and keep it busy. Want to try and fight every, you know, every...
March the 29th of Wembley.
Okay, March the 29th, the man says. Who is he going to fight next? When will he get in with a British guy, sort of a Pele Reid or a Mark Potter? What are your thoughts on that?
We've always said this year's going to be a very big year for Audley. quite a few British opponents out there, and we're looking at them at the moment. So within the next, 3 or 4 fights, those names will, get a chance.
What sort of review do you think he's going to get in the Monday morning press? As we know, he has his critics. What will they make of that performance, Colin?
I think it's quite, a mixed performance. I think he he dominated the fight. He could have boxed a bit more fluidly. I think a lot of things to work on. But as he said, he's only had 9 fights. Still a novice, and a long way to learn, a lot to learn, a long way to go.
Do you think that 1 or 2 people might just pick up and say he was another reasonably small guy? Audley outweighed him by 3 stone. Well, do you think that's a bit of a factor? I think 5 of his 8 opponents have weighed sort of 3 stone or so less. A thought on that, Colin?
Not at all. I think Audley's a very big guy. He's 18 stone, 6'5". Whoever he comes up against is going to look small in comparison. The guy was a bona fide heavyweight, and Audley got in there and he's done the job.
Okay, so the message is you're nicely on target for what you want to achieve.
Yeah, definitely on target. March the 29th at Wembley, I'll go again. Very busy, so get your tickets in early. This place was sold out, and I'm just going to roll on. Big thank you to, like I said, once again, to all the fans, all my team, and the Harrison machine moves on.
Well done. Thank you.